Welcome to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today I'm going to be talking about forum merger number 2, going with the ticker FMCI, and earlier known as a reverse merger for Tattooed Chef. I'm going to go through a technical analysis and then news, and what I think about this acquisition in terms of the future of the stock based on experience that I've seen in the market for the last 4 years. Let's jump right into it. On a 1 week perspective, we get to see here an MACD that is actually curving down. Now that is a little bit of a dangerous sign. Usually it indicates that there is perhaps a little bit of a shakiness in that power of move. On the 1 week perspective, we get to see 1-2 reds, but that was more triggered on a red week. So we'll cut it some slack for the time being and a little bit ignore that MACD warning. On the unbalanced volume, we get to see it's actually recovering from that point, and momentum has gone back to where it was on the highest peak. Now, when we're talking about the William percent R, we get to see it's actually a little bit closer to overbought, but it has been overbought for all the way back to 26th of July. So another warning sign that I choose to ignore a little. ADX here on a 1 week perspective looks like it actually peaked up on the 13th of September and lost a little bit of momentum, but it still shows in that there is a potential for either side reversals at this level. Moving averages look actually bullish. 10 SMA is above the 30 EMA, and the price is above the 50 SMA. Now, if we were to look into a 1 day perspective, it gives us a little bit of insight into the intra-day movements. We get to see that we're actually curving up on the MACD, and that's a really bullish sign. Unbalanced volume is increasing. ADX shows in a very strong potential of a trend forming. William percent R was overbought, and right now it's moving on towards oversold, a little bit closer to neutral. Momentum is actually recovering as well from the 6th of October. Moving averages looks bullish, but less bullish than it did look on the 22nd. That's because the trading action zone is very small. That's something to consider. Now, on a 1 hour perspective, and this is just merely for the next few hours into Monday, so I wouldn't give it much mind. We get to see something happening here. It looks like a Death Star is looming. That's when the 200 SMA crosses the 50 SMA towards the bottom. That's a golden star, and that is looming. Now, the Death Star, we had it all the way back into 30th of September. So a golden star is actually good news, and that is a bullish sign. That's when 200 SMA dips below the 50 SMA and the 50 SMA jumps above. Moving averages looks bullish, and it's above the VWAP, so that's a good indication. Average directional index shows in that there is a strong trend here that is actually forming. William percent R, as though it's a little bit choppy, goes in from overbought to oversold during the day, and momentum is a little bit rough for the time being. MACD doesn't show us anything other than a gentle pullback for the day. Again, this is the 1 hour perspective, so just merely for the first few hours of the day. Now, on the bottom of the moving average, we're looking at 2171, in the middle 24, and on the top 2661. And if we're looking at the stochastics, we get to see that it's actually hitting up a dangerous level for the stochastic fast. Usually back all the way back here is where it kind of starts curving down. And whether it breaks that stochastic level, both on the fast or slow, it might see a little bit of friction here. So that's usually a warning sign. We were going on towards the channels. There's two different channels. There's the original channel, there's the new channel, with the exception of this few candles that are usually anomalies. We're expected to kind of peak up at the 2678, in the middle 2412, and on the bottom 2115. But let's take a quick look into the significant supports and resistance. A significant resistance seems to be here at the $26, and above that we're looking at $26.95, which is almost $27. There's another one here at $26.45, but it's only been tested once. Now, there is as well another one right now sitting that is at $25.02. And then below that, there's a support sitting at $23.99, which is almost $24, and then $23.41. And then below that, we're looking at $21.98. Below that, $21. Below that, $20.50, $19.95, and then we're going all the way down to $18.87. We're looking at the most important resistance for me is the $26.85, because it's been tested 5 times, going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 times. So once it breaks this one, there's a lot of potential to see a new high. And now we get to see on their website here. So their website, they do have different acquisitions. I believe 333 is actually in effect right now in August. Now the one for Tutu is basically going on for the Tattooed Chef as a reverse merger. So you can click on towards the website, try to find where the announcement is, website, investor presentations, and everything in between. What I'm gonna do quickly is I'm gonna go through the presentation, then I'm gonna go through the latest news. So they do have a bunch of executive coming in from Tattooed Chefs. So CFO, COO, the Tattooed Chef, and the creative officer, CEO, and president. And coming in from there as well would be the CEO and the CFO from Forum Merger number 2. Now, when we're going to talk about here is mainly their business plans and their net sales highlights. So in 2021, net sales is expected to be $222 million with a 67% CAGR net sales from 2018 to 2021. Let's move on. We get to see as well, it's more of a style, and if you look down here, it's more of a style going mainly towards organics, and a lot of it as well coming as vegetarians. So that is something as well where it comes into plant-based, similar to Beyond Meat's movement back, I believe, in 2016. I remember that company starting up and a lot of people didn't believe in it, but this one looks like it's actually a good competitor, especially with COVID coming in, and a lot of people that have moved on towards cooking by themselves, especially with a lot of restaurants around North America have closed down temporarily. That kind of pushed people to get more groceries, and you get to see that Walmart, Costco has exponentially seen increases in sales for groceries. So that is a good sign that the actual growth in the market is there and there is need for such a product. Now, taking a quick look into their history. So basically it was started back into the stagnate food and begins importing vegetables and other Italian products. That's back in 2001. We're looking at as well begins selling as private label as stagnant food, and then we went on from there to Itala International and begins manufacturing in their own factory. And the Tattooed Chef brand has been opened up in 2017, and it's opened up in Italy as the plant. So that is quite interesting. There's 20 plus SKUs available to conventional retail, and it's not only limited to North America, because I did check on their website and it looks like there is as well other other countries and continents that are actually going for. So the most popular food claims among consumers: no artificial ingredients, all natural, organics, non-GMO, clean label. And they hit every single one of these. Protein rich. They have as well plant-based, gluten-free, vegetarian, and vegan. So it's kind of a little bit of a niche market, but it still hits there. Now, I myself, I'm not a vegetarian or vegan, but I'll definitely try those. I love cauliflower crusts. So there is as well potential for there. US frozen retail sales is around $55.2 billion. Now, the long-term opportunity for Tattooed Chef is around $15.5 billion, and the near-term opportunity is around $12.6 billion. Now, the current opportunity is $27.1 billion, and that goes on towards prepared food, pizza, vegetables, fruits, and pasta and grains. Now, they're trying to go on for the desserts for the near future, and later on, meat alternatives, seafoods, and others. Now, that would probably be the alternatives parts. Amazing. Now, taking a quick look into the current customers: Costco, Walmart, and Sam's Club. I've seen that quite a bit. Now, I've heard about them expanding towards Target. I couldn't confirm that, especially since we don't have Target here in Canada anymore. So that would be amazing to check if there's actually a PR on it, but I haven't seen any recent PR that would actually mention Target being added onto it. Now, certifications that they have is BRC Foods, non-GMO, USDA Organics, and GF certified. And for Italy facilities, KDCY, I don't believe it's applicable for the US facility for that identification. Now, they do have a factory in Italy and another one in Paramount, California. So that is as well exciting to see. When we're going on towards financials, we get to see an increase in sales 2018 to 2019 to 2020, and 2020 PDC get to see that the actual increases in terms of revenues are almost doubling what it is from the previous year, give or take. So that is exciting news. CAGR is actually as well increasing at a rate of, say, in the last 3 years of around 11%. That's the average one. Now, net sales growth, we're looking at 20%, adjusted EBITDA growth 20% and above, and the margin is high teens. Now, transaction details. I'm not going to go through very much details on the transaction ones, but I'm going to show here and there a little bit of the net sales for other competitors. So Beyond Meat is on there, and you're looking at 58.6% into net sales CGR, and this one beats it in 61.7. Even in the adjusted, I think the only one that this falls short of is health and wellness food medians, which is around 3.8. It hits above the median, but it still hits above Beyond Meat, but not above Freshpet, Simply Good, and Billing. So that is something to consider. Another thing we're looking at is the revenue multiple. It's still falling a little bit short, even though the median is actually 0.26 for revenue/revenue growth, but 4.5 on the wellness food median. It falls a little bit short on there, but it still has a lot of potential to go on, especially with form merger number 2 coming in on board. Now, I'm not going to go through the rest of the details except the net loss and the net income. Now, net income was high in 2019 compared to 2018. It's actually making a profit. That is amazing when it comes towards seeing companies like this one, especially into a foreign merger, that are actually bringing in money. So that is quite significant for us. And then let's move on towards latest news. So first things first, I'm going to go through insiders slash institutional buyers. Nothing seems to be added all the way back in 2018. So that is something to be expected with a foreign merger like this one here, because they act like shell companies slash what they call blank check. Now, moving on towards the next news here, of course, we have the virtual shareholder meeting. That's in 4 days and 20 hours. So that's going to be happening on October 15th, 2020 at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just before the market opens. Now, coming on towards the Tattooed Chef. Now, they have different things related to plant-powered, plant-based, so that's exciting. Gluten-free, kits, smooth bowls, vegans, vegetarians, food for plant-based beginners. Now, the beauty about this one here is in a pandemic where a lot of restaurants or a lot of people are not comfortable eating in restaurants, etc. This one comes in a bit more about the hippie or vegan or plant-based styles. A lot of these frozen foods don't offer vegan options unless you're eating like tater tots. And even then, you want to make sure it's actually plant-based, because sometimes they have in the breadings, for instance, eggs and whatnot. So that really comes in towards a really niche needed market. Also, they have smoothie bowls, acai bowls, Buddha bowls. So they also have work towards the bowls. Now, they do have the buffalo cauliflower burgers. Those are actually plant-based as well. So overall, it looks like they have a really good market. And when I was talking about, for instance, things in terms of not only offering in North America, I was just playing around with this kind of find of stores. Did find as well they actually do have it in Puerto Rico. So I'm pretty sure if I kept playing around with it, I would probably find as well definitely in Italy and all that stuff. So that's exciting. They do have their Instagram on their website. They also do have Twitter. So I mean, if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow them. You get to see a lot of different news coming up with them. If you're hearing about new indications for moving towards different markets, you probably will hear about it on their social media after, or depending on the time frame that they would go for. Sometimes they don't file SEC filings for kind of upcoming news until it becomes official. Now, coming on towards their financials highlights, net sales was 104% increase from the prior year for the first 6 months in 2020. Gross profits 19.1 increase. Net income for common stockholders was 5.8 million compared to 1.4 million in the prior year. Adjusted EBITDA was 9 million, or 13.2% of net sales compared to 2.4 million. So this video is already long enough, so I'm just going to move on towards what I think about the stock and the next movement. Just to not bore you, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already slept through the video, so I'm very sorry about that. Now coming on towards the merger. Now the merger is expected to be completed. My expectation for this stock is that it's going to continue to go towards an uptrend until the new ticker comes in. And this happens a lot, or a couple of days before the new ticker comes in. Why does this happen? It's because it's buy the rumor, sell the news kind of type of action, where the stock, for instance, keeps on rallying, and as soon as that kind of Tattooed Chef has its own ticker. As a reverse merger for this one here, it becomes in a little bit of choppy for some traders. It becomes in more of, well, I don't know what the next exact catalyst coming up that is massive, and so they begin selling, and that kind of starts triggering stop limits, and then it starts just spiraling down out of control until it kind of stabilizes. So my advice, and this is based on experiences, including stocks like Hylon, for instance, and a bunch of others that have done reverse mergers, is that the price will rally up to a point. Could be on a day before the merger is finished, or a couple of days, or could be a day after, and then starts dropping. And then after it drops, it finds a bottom and starts climbing back again. So I'm not saying that this one is bad in the long term. I think it's amazing, but I do think that some really annoying traders, I'm not going to call them investors because that's not what they are, will start taking profits, and at that point dropping the price for investors that are in there. What do you think about the sticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. You have a wonderful day.